Okay, abusia Attorney General ahinte on the resignation na resignation benya. Abusia samobeka ya ye twemadwen akọ echiri kakra. On 21st December and tokwa NPP minority led by Afenyo Markins and majority edibo mu pipe ewo parliament no. Sa entokwa no ena HSA Attorney General HSA onokrampo no nanim guase owo ho na wafere those calling themselves MPs and HSA omo konsa entokwa no ewo parliament abusia and enyesa entokwa no kwa on 30th January 2025 mokai say parliament some vetting because omo peja enkonyane ade abusuya saa ni nyina no yede mo beko 25th December entokwa na happen in parliament no na mama kohwe mani so ade twemadwen de ababeti bibi so mom yenko na yenkohwe saa video na entokwa esiye ewo parliament a etese NPP minority ebo push ewo NDC majority so ewo parliament na ye ba ye de aka ababeto amoso medamase
of the Committee on the Employment, Labor Relations and Pensions on the allocations of the sum 100,103,498 for the services of the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment for the year 31st December 2026.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion and doing so present your committee's report. Mr. Speaker, I urge the Hamza department.
Both the minority and the majority MPs pushing and pulling it together. There's a scaffold that is breaking on the floor now of Parliament as we speak. Both the majority and the minority MPs now pushing and pulling each other on the center of Parliament, and it's unclear how the marshals will resolve this, but you see the marshals there now standing watching what is happening. And for those who just watching, the minority MPs proceeded from their seats. They moved from their seats to the center of the floor in an attempt to distract the happenings. You see the majority MPs shouting push as they push the minority MPs to go back to their seats now. It's a scaffold that has broken between the two sides of the House. The members of Parliament from both sides pushing and pulling each other as the minority move from their seats in an attempt to distract the proceedings of the House. The majority rose to their feet. They will not take anything of a sort from the minority. They have moved to make sure that the minority occupies their seat, go back to their seat, and allow the business of the House to proceed, allow the Parliament to proceed with their business before what we are seeing now.
Okay, abusia sa video no eno ne entokwa esiye ewo Parliament NPP minority ebopia NDC majority for enye asamketo akra wo ho a speaker backben enso ebe true hot fire on those involved in and to kwano anase chaos na happen here parliament no speaker backben ebaya etese otutu bi emane omo na o chere say those calling themselves honorable no omon sem fata say say omo yesa ema ba be report no akra de mam say speaker backben say oba be suspend omo and mom yenkonko tie ensema after the chaos no hot fire speaker backben true on parliamentary MPs no both NPP and NDC mom yenko na yenkonko tie ensem nso a speaker backben de betuja e de fa
yesterday the honorable member for Efiduase Asukore, Honorable Dr. Nana Ayu Afriye, signaled his intention to make a statement which he characterized as being of urgent public importance. At the time, the First Deputy Speaker was in the chair and sitting was underway. It bears noting that under the rules and the practice of this House, statements intended to be made on the floor are submitted in advance and previewed by the Speaker. From the information leaders gave me, they had discussed this matter, but the statement got to the Third Deputy Speaker whilst he was seated at his seat in the chamber. And whilst he was trying to read it, I called upon him to take over the chair. So he did not actually go through it, and he did not admit it. So the statement was not admitted. Accordingly, no such statement could lawfully be made on the floor. But I will just say this, that Shakespeare taught all of us that even a dog is obeyed in office. When we sit here, we are not saints, we are not infallible, but there is good reason why we are called right honorable, and you are called only honorable. I want honorable members to take this in good faith. I know in the light of these events and in defense of the institutional integrity of Parliament, I refer to the conduct of the honorable member, or Efidiase Asekore. This is not a matter to be referred to any committee. It's a matter that I've discussed with leadership, and we've agreed that it should be resolved. And we will resolve it here openly for all of us to be guided so that in future we don't fall foul.
Okay, Abusia speaker back then and I saying just na all fire a year NPP and NDC MPs involved in chaos na a happy year. Abusia na we dear Attorney General Nensema or day to or trese or pese or resign a free Parliament. Cause or no akasa or no as Attorney General any or no as member of Parliament no. A disgrace to or no and as a disgrace to Parliament. Any kinds of sad no a happen. Send them ma ewo fi na omobe who say yes omo papa na ejina TV so a omo kontokwa those calling themselves honorable intino a Attorney General or hint on the resignation from Parliament abusia yensa momra mom yankonkotie ensam so a Attorney General edituja edifasa akios no honsensem na unsubscribe ya subscribe like na share ma afofron so ensa into me enkabi aha Ghana Politics Avenue. So and don't forget to click on the notification bell so that any updates be ever drop piano also on sa ebi to me akabi medamase.
So that is how it's going to be.
Doc, just one final thing. There are people who are concerned about Parliament. Over the last couple of months, in fact, over the last couple of years, there have been concerns, scuffles, what a Parliament may itself describe as unparliamentary.
Yeah.
And people have had cause to complain and talk about it. How do you feel about these issues that come up, and how do we remedy it, more importantly?
I feel very shameful. I am ashamed, when these things happen. Sometimes I tell my colleagues that I cannot imagine my daughter sitting at home and watching me behave like a schoolboy. Banging tables, making cat calls, very insulting language and so on and so forth. I think it is very bad. It is unbecoming of the high office of Parliament. But somehow or another, there are some people who find it normal. Disruptive behavior, and it's on both sides. And I have had occasion to condemn, that conduct when we were in the minority. I used to tell the minority leader, I said, look, let us behave ourselves with decorum. That's what the standing orders of Parliament, require of us. All right, that is what the Ghanaian public also require of us. I don't want my daughter sitting at home and watching me throwing blows, banging tables, behaving in a disorderly manner. Look, when we do that, we are telling the young people of this country that it is normal, to be disruptive. It is normal to be disorderly. It is, because high people, PhD holders, lawyers, accountants, but it is a question of leadership. Sometimes it's being instigated by leadership because they want to achieve a certain, a point or optic, and you see, there is, it's also animated by what I call the politics of base pleasing.
Okay.
Right? Please your base. Let your base know that you are resisting. You are doing that. No, we should do. We should behave with decorum. We should argue or deliberate, with intellect, with persuasion, and so on and so forth. For instance, I told the MPP the other day, I said, look, the late J.H. Mensah will turn in his grave, because that guy was, a stalwart, an intellectual who debated every point in Parliament, right? J.H. could hold Parliament spellbound for 1 hour, and he will debate with intellectual rigor for everybody to see that this is a man of substance. All right, that is what we should be emulating. So to be honest with you, I have been sometimes I think of resigning and just getting out of the place because
it's that bad.
It is that bad. I feel very uncomfortable, and I'm happy that you have asked this question. I feel extremely uncomfortable when we are banging tables, doing the catcalls and so on. In fact, one of the saddest spectacles that I witnessed in Parliament was when I was Deputy Attorney General, and the MPP wore black during one of the addresses that President Mahama came to give to Parliament. All right, and then they were saying a we like thief. Honestly speaking, I was so scandalized. And I walked over to Katie Hammond, who is a very good friend of mine. I walked over to Papa Uso Akroma and Dr. Oseakoto of blessed memory now. I walked over to them and I said, I am ashamed of you guys. You are men of this integrity. You are standing here and your backbenchers are doing this, and you don't have the guts to control them and say that, look, this is unparliamentary behavior, this is unacceptable. The high office of president, is what is represented by the person who is the occupant now, and we have to respect that office because it's the first office of the land. So for you to call a president a thief, and by the way, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama is not a thief. He has not been proven to have stolen any property of this country, So for you to stand up and say just because there are allegations of corruption, that are being made against some of his, officials, doesn't mean that you should call him a thief. Why didn't we call Akuffo a thief? Right? We'll never have done that. There were times that we also became disruptive. All right, but as I said, I deplore that. Disruptive behavior. It is highly unbecoming. And if some of my colleagues are listening to me, I think they should stop it. It is not. We should stop it. We should try and resolve our differences in Parliament through debate and persuasion. Rather than through rancorous conduct.
Right. You have spoken about the GBA recently, and you have sort of condemned what you consider selectiveness in the commentary that they offer publicly, particularly in the Tokono case, right? And you say that they were silent in the Charlotte Osei case. Have you been fair to the GBA though?
Extremely fair. I'm a member of the GBA in good standing. In fact, I am the leader of the bar by the the conventions of the profession. The Attorney General is usually the nominal leader of the bar. That is that. So and that is seen. For instance, if I am in court, my case will be called before any other person's case. All right. So as leader of the bar, I cannot turn around and then bite the hand that feeds me. However, I just wanted to be as open and candid with the bar as possible, and that is why, you know, I put it to them, and you could see even the applause when I spoke, the applause from the members or some of the members of the bar, I mean, clearly indicated that I had a legitimate point, you know, to make, you know, but I'm fine with them. I mean, the bar president and myself, you know, we collaborated to host the African Bar Association in Accra. We, I mean, have also collaborated on a number of other matters, including our work on the Judicial Council and so on and so forth. So, yes, I mean, I have been very fair with them, and they themselves know, you know, that this was, I mean, done in fairness and not as a political, you know, I mean, a stunt.
Sometime last year, the president commissioned the review committee, constitutional review committee. Yes. They went around, they did their work. In fact, we had them in the region, and I was fortunate to have engaged the chairman of the committee. What's the latest on that? Because I have recently begun to see some recommendations that have been made: 4-year term to a 5-year term, for example, a review of the age to 30 for presidential consideration. Right. So legally, what happens from now? What current stage are we in, and what happens?
I just got instructions, formal instructions. You realize that when the report was presented to His Excellency the President, he indicated he was going to hand it over to myself and then a legal counsel to the President to work on. And I mean, I got formal instructions from His Excellency through his secretary to set up the Constitution Review Implementation Committee, which I'm going to set up this. Today is Sunday, right?
Today is Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, so tomorrow's week I will set it up, you know, for us to start the process of implementation. Now, people must understand that amending the constitution is not an easy task. There are two ways of doing it. One is, I mean, just through putting together an amendment bill that will go to Parliament. And then if by 2/3 majority of the members of Parliament, I mean, or unanimous decision of the members of Parliament, it passes. Another is going through a referendum in respect of entrenched provisions. These are provisions that are regarded as so important to the life, you know, of our, I mean, nation, that they should not be touched unless we have the consent of the people of the country. So we will have to go through a referendum in order to do so. So what we are thinking of doing is, first of all, we'll segment them into the entrenched and non-entrenched provisions, and then we'll start the process of drafting bills. But first of all, we'll have to make the government's position on the recommendations known. All right. We're not going to issue a formal white paper, but I will do a paper to brief cabinet on the, I mean, provisions, the recommendations of the committee, and then when I have done so, and if cabinet accepts the, I mean, my position, then I will, you know, publish the position of government on the some of the provisions. I mean, some of the recommendations. By and large, I think the government is acceptable, you know, to the, I mean, what the review committee has done, but there may be some things that, I mean, taking them further may be, I mean, problematic. So, for instance, I've started, you know, hearing some, you know, MPs, you know, say that the fact that the commission says that there should be strict separation of the executive and the legislature is problematic for them, and they think that at least, even if you say that the 50%, more than 50% of MPs being I mean, nominated ministers is too high, bring down the threshold, you know, make it maybe 1/3 of the ministers should be members of Parliament or something to that effect. So it's most likely that, look, if I make an assessment that our own side will not support a wholesale amendment of the constitution that disables MPs from becoming ministers, I may have to backtrack a little bit and then take what their position is, which may be that, yes, we'll get a minimum, I mean, a reduced threshold, and then we can get it passed. So that is how it's going to be.
Doc, just one final thing. There are people who are concerned about Parliament. Over the last couple of months, in fact, over the last couple of years, they have been concerned.
Okay, abusua we ne ensema ekoso e political highway ne so. Attorney General Dominic Ayine and Ayine ne honsem e de brema e say all hinting on the resignation from Parliament. Abusua e bada masesa mo jepene kokoti sa ensem we e de MI aha e Ghana Politics Avenue so. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so na be any updates bia e be drop no wonso wonsa e betumi aka bada mase.